Okay, everyone, Alan Walker here, and I'm here for another episode of Play Your Game with Alan Walker. And of course, the first thing we start this show with is a 10-second dance party. I'm gonna do a little turn. Okay, that's our 10-second dance party. We got that out of the way. Woo! Okay, so tomorrow, very excited. Tomorrow, Dan Nicholson, author of Rigging the Game, is going to be on the show at noon. So that's tomorrow, Thursday, February 16th at noon Mountain Time. He's going to be on here live. We're going to be discussing the book Rigging the Game. I've shown it a few times here, Rigging the Game. And we're going to talk a little bit about the genesis of the book, the certainty operating system that he covers. And I have found a ton of value in this, and that's really why I want to make sure I share it with everybody that I can. So we have talked about the certainty commandments. We've talked about the frames. We've talked about the issue processors. The fourth piece of the system is the growth principles. Now, one of the things that's really hard in business is to know when and how to grow, right? So we tend to, so hold on, there's growth principles. I made all these slides. I got to show them. So we bias towards more, right? So like if we don't have enough revenue, we think let's hire more people and we'll spend more on marketing and that'll give us more income, right? But that doesn't necessarily get us where we want to go, right? This is about playing your own game and creating the business and the life that you want. So, so we look at these growth principles to make sure that we are actually growing in the right direction, because we want to get closer to what we want, not just more. More does not solve everything. So the first thing is we want to rely on a preponderance of data. So I don't know about you, but I know personally, I have often had like a gut feeling that this is going to work, and gone down the path of doing something and it actually didn't work. So relying on a preponderance of data means, how can you collect the data to know whether or not this decision you're making towards growth is the right decision? Is there past performance? Is there data that you've collected in the organization that shows that whatever the direction you're about to take is actually going to increase your revenue and your profit? And often you might not have that information, right? But many times just looking for it first will slow you down enough to realize whether or not this is the right thing. Now, if you don't have a preponderance of data, then you look at the second growth principle, which is bias microsteps. What does that mean? So here's a couple of really good examples. I've done this in the last year. So if you follow me, you know I'm always trying new things. I love to learn. I love to create new things. I love creating businesses. And there have been multiple times where I've had an idea for something, and it would have cost a substantial investment in order for me to actually like launch something, right? And so I bias microsteps. And what that means is, you've probably seen some of my posts where I'm saying, hey, if I did X, would people be interested in that? Like, if so, like fill out this form. So creating a wait list for a product to see if the market actually wants it is one way to bias a microstep, right? Because all I did was post and create a Google form. I didn't have to like spend all the money on development and branding, whatever it was, right? So that's one example of biasing microsteps. Another one for me was, I wanted to create an AI app for realtors, which I did, realwrite.ai. And I did it, and I set some very specific parameters around the time that I would spend on it, the money I would spend on it, and then what has to happen for me to actually invest more into it. And so I launched that. We've got about 200 users right now, and people are still, joining. I'm still seeing whether or not I'm going to pursue growing that more, because it has to prove to me that it has the potential to be something. I'm not just going to dump a ton of time and money, which I've done that in the past, and it's painful, right? If you really think like, oh, this is going to be great, and you spend all these hours on it, and then it comes to nothing, right? So biasing microsteps allows us to take the opportunity and see, is the market there? Is this actually something people want, or is this just an idea in my head? Or I heard some marketing guru say that this is how you should do it. So it's a way for you to test it out yourself. Now, the third is consider the rule of 3 and 10. So anybody that's tried to grow a business knows that the more people you add to an organization, the more complicated things get. And your systems have to change, right? So if it was just me running a business, I can be pretty informal. I can use just spreadsheets to track everything. It doesn't have to be super complicated because it's just me. Now, when I add the second person into an organization, I have to tell them, hey, we don't have any processes outlined yet. I've all been doing it myself. Maybe that's one of the tasks that they have. Once you add a third person, so now you've tripled your business, everything starts to break, right? Because now you're going to play telephone with people. Things aren't in the place that you think they should be. So you have to keep in mind that if you're going to triple your business or increase it by a magnitude of 10, you're going to have all new systems, all new processes. And so if you know that ahead of time, it's very valuable, because if you're like, hey, we're at 3 right now, but I think by the end of the year, we're going to be at 10, then you start building systems to accommodate 10. Don't build the system for your current employee base, knowing that you're going to have to tear it all down and build it all again for a company of 10 people. So that is really what the rule of 3 and 10 means. It means think through if it makes sense for you to build for the next level. Now, if you have 3 employees and by the end of the year, you're only planning on having 5, and maybe at the end of the following year, you'll have 8, then there's no reason to build systems that accommodate 10 people, right? Because systems are going to constantly evolve as your company grows. So it gives you the ability to say, hey, do I want to build for the next level? Do I think I'm going to get that in the next year? And if not, like, I'm not going to spend a bunch of money on some stuff that we don't need. I'm just going to stay where we're at until we can get to that 10-person mark. Now, the final one is only scale at the optimal ratios. Now, that sounds really good, but what does it really mean? So in my mind, one of the examples that Dan uses in the book is he says, hey, you're really busy, so you're stressed out and you want to hire people. But hiring people, is that the right decision? One, it's not going to make you less busy, right? And 2, can you support this person, right? You don't want to make a decision in the moment that feels like maybe made out of desperation and frustration that isn't going to sustain your business long term. And so you could say, hey, I have to make X amount per client. Like maybe it's a profit margin. Like I need to make 30% profit on each client before I can hire my next employee. Or you can say for each employee, I have to be making X number of profit from their book of business before I can bring someone else on. So putting those in place in a sober state of mind, not when you're already stressed out and when you're already frustrated. Those are the worst times to be making those kind of decisions, because we tend to think that money solves everything. And money solves a lot, but it doesn't solve everything. And in fact, what I often see in businesses is people will grow because they're frustrated and not realize that they've opted into all of these liabilities, whether that be, system contracts, employees, benefits, things like that. It's a lot easier to not opt into something than it is to opt out of something. And so that's one of the things to keep in mind when you think about scaling. People think that scaling is a magic solution to all of their problems, and it really isn't. It depends on your business, right? It's about your game. It's about your business. So here is the URL to go through if you want to buy Dan's book, Rigging the Game. It's just riggingamazon.com. It'll just redirect you to Amazon so you can buy it there. He is going to be on the show tomorrow at noon Mountain Time, Thursday, February 16th. We're going to talk through the book. We're going to talk through kind of how he came up with this whole approach to making decisions in your business, in your life. And I really hope that you guys can join, ask some questions, and get some questions answered by him. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm super happy to help. I love this stuff. It has really changed my stress level in my businesses as I've started to think through, how do I play my own game in this? I don't want to play someone else's game, and I don't want to follow someone else's rule book, because nobody wins a game they don't want to run. They don't want to run in, right? So I think I said that a little wrong, but I think you get what I mean. So hope you continue playing your game. And if you have questions, reach out to me. And also in the comments below, you'll see a subscription link for my blog. That'll actually send out any of my real estate or crypto updates that I post on Facebook. It'll also send it out to email. So if you're not on Facebook, you're not on LinkedIn, you're not on YouTube all that often, you can subscribe to it there, and then you'll just get the emails as they come out. Hope that helps. Have a great day. Play your game. Oh.